Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're taking a look at a rather newly released MKM Goccia. Now, before we go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.875 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.25 inches. That cutting edge with all that belly comes down to 3.375 inches and a blade width of 1 inch. Blade thickness on this guy is coming in at 0.16 inches. Blade material of M390 with a drop point style blade, a almost full flat grind, and a handle length coming in at 4.625 inches. Handle thickness on this guy is 0.55 inches, and handle width is 1 inch. Now, the handle material on this guy is carbon fiber, but it also varies. They are available in titanium G10 and micarta as well, with a locking mechanism of a liner lock. User of right-hand tip-up carry, a weight coming in at 3.76 ounces for this carbon fiber model. A price for, again, just this carbon fiber model of $249.90. That will, of course, vary on handle material as well. Designed by MKM Anso and made in Italy. So a very, very sleek, elegant offering. Let's take a look at some size comparisons. Let's grab our paramilitary 2 as well as our CJRB feldspar. As you can see, just a little shorter than both. Again, you really, the difference is in that handle length, and you do have a very nice blade to handle ratio with this Goccia. And got a couple more here, a little sleeker carries. This is a pretty good comparison. The Ferrum Forge Stinger, a little smaller, but as far as lines and I guess I can't really say feel in hand because it's a little thinner knife, but aesthetically similar, I guess. And then we also have the Benchmade Bug Out. So there you go. There's your size comparisons. Hope they helped. And let's talk about this blade. This is a very super sleek and gentlemanly design, and that really goes for the whole knife, not just the blade. I really like the appearance of this knife in general. I think it works great as a gentleman's carry. Let me know what you guys think, but I think this is 100% a very solid gentleman's carry. We have a very robust and thick blade stock that leads to an excellent sturdy and at the same time somewhat slicey tip. It's not what you would expect. When you see the base of this stock here, you're like, okay, that's pretty thick, but then you get up to this tip and yeah, it is, ooh, there we go. It is not too dainty, but not too thick. You could definitely do some really good work with that tip. Along with a very decent edge. The edge on this blade, I'm very happy to say, comes in at 20 thousandths, which isn't, it's not laser beam screaming sharp, but it's really good for Italian manufacturing. I'm sure you guys know Italian blades tend to be thicker behind the edge, so I really appreciate the fact that this one's coming in a little thinner. The almost full flat grind makes for a pretty efficient cutter, and dare I say it, almost a slicer. I also appreciate the very minimal blade branding on this guy. You have MKM, M390, no issue there. Always love seeing the steel branding, especially when it's a premium steel. And then on the other side, you have the Anso Maker's Mark. Jens Anso is a very renowned maker. He makes all sorts of things from EDC gear to knives, and a very, very talented designer indeed. Lastly, the flipper on this guy. It can be a bit aggressive sometimes. It really depends on how you use it. Whether you're pushing it or light switching it, a lot of things can factor in. We will talk more about that when we get to the action. But going into the handles and ergos, which is really, as much as I like this blade, I think it's the handle that really sticks out to me the most. The ergos are pretty good. The ergos are definitely no slouch. There's really just one grip position, and then it's this right here. And I gotta say, I do like it. I don't have any gripes. Some people like having options to kind of manipulate your grip depending on the cutting task at hand. But given just the one grip, it is a really good one. So no real issues there. I absolutely love these carbon fiber scales. The moment I saw this knife for the first time, I thought, okay, this carbon fiber, it pops. It has that extra bit of pop. And that has to do with this milling and contouring on the scale, which, by the way, you guys know carbon fiber can flake and whatnot. You can get some imperfections. For all the milling they did on this handle, as close as I looked over it, it's flawless. The milling also really adds a dimension of visual pleasure when the light hits it, because you have the fiber, the cross weave of the carbon fiber, but then the dimensions of milling, it really makes for an extra cool look when the light hits it. You see a little extra pop and shimmer in the drop lines. I believe Goccia stands for drop, or something related to a drop. So as you can see, it kind of looks like a drop of water hitting it and spreading out. Very nice milling and a very good grip and purchase on this guy because of that milling. The clip is also very good, and I really like this clip. It's not the quietest clip in hand. It's not a hot spot, but you do considerably feel it in hand, especially since the handle gets, rather slim and slender down towards the clip. But it just looks great. Fully recessed with fully recessed screws. Very unique, but also simple design. It kind of widens down to the contact point, which is nice. I think that would provide for a little better grip on the material, on the pants material that it's pressing down on, since it's a wider contact area. And a nice smooth ramp up there that comes up. It's not poking you or stabbing you. It's very well done and very deep carry. So I like that a lot. Now, when you get to the liner lock, this is another one. I had this issue with the what was it? The Viper Katla as well, and it was another Italian-made knife. It just doesn't. It's a little harsh on the fingertip, and there's really no nice way to say it. You start to fidget with this knife a lot, and you really feel that liner lock. I wish they would, for one, maybe bring this back just a little more. I mean, just a little, and then also kind of contour this to meet your thumb, so you're not pressing on such an acute point with the jimping. I like the jimping being there, but I just wish it was a little more contoured. That would feel a lot better. Going into the action, so there's two elements of this action. There's deployment and then there's close. When it comes to deployment, action is absolutely fantastic, like 95% of the time. And that was definitely 95% of the time right there. Sometimes the detent can get, I don't know if it is just not smoothed out yet. Maybe it needs a little breaking in. But sometimes the detent will stick a little, and it'll feel a little harder. Now, when I say stick, again, I don't mean it won't open. It'll still open. But it just feels like it has to, that extra little force to break it. And that could be after just not deploying it for a little while. I think we've all experienced that on a knife before. You don't deploy a knife for a while, you go to use the flipper, and you're like, oh, you break it, and it comes out. But you got to push a little harder. And that's when the flipper can get to be a little abrasive on the finger. It's very important to do more of a light switch than a push button. You push button this, you try to push button this thing in, and you're gonna feel some pretty significant poking on your finger from this flipper. So you really do have to kind of just set your finger like you're gonna push button it, but then light switch it, and it works really good. Like I said, action really is great most of the time, and this really could just be a example of the knife needing to break in. That is not uncommon. I'm sure you guys are also, again, have experienced that with a knife, to where sometimes you just have to flip it and use it for a while, and you start to kind of just smooth out some of the corners and surfaces where the detent rolls along the blade, and the actual milling hole where the detent ball sits. Just use will kind of smooth and very, very, very mildly wear on that, to where once it's broken in, it's just absolute butter. And I think this knife could be that. It's not there yet, and I can't say it will be. But my experience with Italian knives in the past is that they do break in really well, and more considerable than some other knives too. The Giant Mouse Ace Grand is a prime example of that. I don't know if they're making them by Riot now, but the one I got was made in Italy, and it definitely, over time, it broke in so well. It was great, and I absolutely love it now. It's one of my favorite knives. So keep that in mind when handling Italian knives. I feel like they do break in very well. As far as the detent, it is good. Once you finally start to work it in, it gives a good thwack. The carbon fiber adds for a really nice weight balance, so it's not too heavy. I don't know, I feel like a titanium version of this may be a little too heavy, but really, really like this carbon fiber version. On the close, that's kind of the second element of this action. And this is, again, probably another example of it just needs to break in more. That detent ball area, the path that it moves on, got to keep using it. Maybe I need to disassemble it and put some, do my own little lube and everything to it. That always makes a difference as well. So as is, out of the box, it's going to be a little stiff if it's anything like mine. But overall thoughts are still very positive, guys. I still really like this knife a lot. It's just a very solid offering and a great mid-sized gentleman's carry. Would go great with some slacks, and it just looks really, really good. One I would recommend, and I wasn't too surprised to say this. I kind of had high hopes for this. I'm really glad that, for the most part, it did meet it. I can't wait till it breaks in. I'm really looking forward to it smoothing out just a little bit, and I really think it will. If it doesn't, I'll let you know, but MKM usually makes some pretty darn good knives, so I'm expecting a really positive outcome with this. Let me know what you guys think about the MKM Goccia. I hope you like the aesthetics of it as much as I do, because it really is a fantastic looking knife. If you already have it, let me know what you think about it. Is it one you consider buying? I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.